The store lights flicker to life as dawn breaks over the quiet strip mall. Shiny glass windows reflect the first rays of sunlight, but inside, the air feels heavy, like something's not right. A man in an oversized hoodie and ripped jeans walks toward the sliding doors, a coffee cup in hand. To the few early employees setting up for the day, he looks like just another customer, tired, scruffy, and maybe a little out of place. None of them realize that the man walking through those doors owns everything around them, not just the store, the brand, the franchise, the dream they've all been working under. And he's not here to shop. He's here to see how deep the rot goes. For months, he's been reading customer complaints that didn't make sense. Rude employees, missing stock, suspicious refund transactions, even whispers of staff stealing inventory and selling it online. Every time he brought it up at meetings, his district managers had the same excuse. "It's exaggerated, sir. Social media blows things out of proportion." But something about it didn't sit right. Numbers were off, reviews were tanking, and the branch that used to lead in sales had become a black hole. So, he decided to go undercover. No camera crew, no press stunt, no safety net. Just him, walking into the battlefield disguised as one of the people supposed to protect his vision. He calls himself Eli. No one in the store knows what the owner looks like. It's a massive national chain, and the founder hasn't been seen in the field for years. Perfect cover. He joins the night crew for a week, mopping floors, stocking shelves, pretending to be a new part-timer desperate for a paycheck. What he sees in just 2 nights shakes him to the core. Supervisors yelling at workers for taking too long in the restroom, employees mocking customers once they leave, cashiers pocketing change, a store manager who shows up late every day and disappears to run errands for hours. There's laughter, gossip, arrogance, but no pride. No respect for the brand he built from scratch. He listens, he watches, he smiles through it all. But inside, every word, every sneer, every careless act burns like acid. The third night is when everything explodes. It's a Friday evening rush. Families are piling in, grabbing snacks and last-minute weekend supplies. The store is short-staffed, chaos everywhere. Eli is working the floor when a customer approaches, frustrated because her receipt shows a double charge. She's polite, calm, clearly uncomfortable. But before Eli can even help, one of the shift leads storms over, snatches the receipt and says, "Lady, maybe next time pay attention before blaming us." The woman freezes. Eli steps forward, quietly asking the lead to apologize. The response? Laughter. "Who are you to tell me what to do, rookie?" Then she turns to the customer and adds, "We're done here. Go complain online if it makes you feel better." That's when Eli drops the broom and says firmly, "No, you owe her an apology right now." His tone isn't loud, but it's sharp enough to cut through the chatter. The air changes, heads turn. The shift lead scoffs and calls over the manager, and within minutes, the manager appears, arms crossed, smirk ready. "What's the problem here?" she asks. The shift lead explains, painting Eli as the troublemaker. The manager doesn't even bother checking the receipt or talking to the customer. She looks Eli up and down and says, "If you're going to cause drama 3 days into the job, you can clock out and go home." Eli tries to de-escalate. "Ma'am, I'm just saying the customer deserves respect. That's all." The manager steps closer, lowering her voice but keeping that cruel grin. "And I'm saying this store runs how I say it runs. You got that?" The customer, embarrassed, quietly leaves. Eli stands there, his jaw tight, heartbeat pounding in his ears. He feels anger rising, not just for the customer, but for every dollar, every sleepless night, every sacrifice he poured into creating something that's become this toxic. He doesn't blow up. He simply nods, grabs his bag, and walks toward the door. But before he steps outside, the manager calls out, "Don't bother coming back tomorrow. You're done." He turns his head slightly, not revealing his face fully, and says with an eerie calm, "We'll see about that." That night, he drives home in silence. No calls, no messages. Just the sound of the road humming beneath the weight of his thoughts. Every corner of his mind replays what he witnessed. The arrogance, the disrespect, the laughter at customers, the theft hidden behind fake smiles. He built this business to help people find work, to give communities reliable service, to create pride in the uniform. But that pride is gone, replaced by entitlement, by greed. At 3 a.m., he opens his laptop, pulls up surveillance footage, reviews transactions. One by one, the pieces fall into place: refund fraud, discount manipulation, fake inventory counts. He's not just dealing with laziness, he's dealing with corruption. By dawn, he's made a decision. Tomorrow morning, the store won't just get a visit, it'll get a reckoning. The sun rises again, but this time it's not peaceful. As employees clock in, something feels different. There are unmarked cars in the parking lot, the district manager's SUV, 2 corporate security officers near the entrance. And standing at the center of it all, dressed sharply in a tailored suit, is the man they kicked out less than 12 hours ago. Only now, there's no hoodie, no disguise, no broom. His presence commands silence. The manager freezes mid-step, eyes wide. "Wait, you're—" He doesn't let her finish. "Yes," he says coldly, "I'm the guy you fired last night, and I own this store." The color drains from her face. Employees whisper, trying to piece together what's happening. He steps inside, gestures toward the break room, and says, "Everyone, in there, now." The tone leaves no room for argument. Chairs scrape, people shuffle in, confusion and fear mixing in the air. Once the door closes, he places his phone on the table, presses play, and lets the room fill with their own voices, recordings from the hidden mic he wore all week. Insults, lies, theft. It's all there. No one speaks. Some look down, some look for exits. The manager tries to interrupt, but he raises a hand, eyes like steel. "Not a word," he says quietly. "You made this store a disgrace. You made the customers feel small. You made me regret trusting this team. That ends today." Silence. No one breathes. He scans the faces, some guilty, some shocked, some simply numb. Then he delivers the sentence that changes everything. "You're all done here, every single one of you." He doesn't shout. He doesn't need to. The authority in his voice is absolute. Within minutes, HR is notified. Corporate vehicles start pulling up. Security escorts employees out one by one. The manager tries to plead, tries to spin her story, but it's too late. The video evidence, the transaction logs, the complaints, they all tell the same truth. The truth she thought would stay buried under arrogance and manipulation. As the last employee leaves, he walks the aisles alone. The shelves are disorganized, the floor dirty, the smell of stale coffee lingering. But beneath all that mess, he feels something stirring again. A sense of clarity. The kind that comes after a storm when you finally see what's left standing. This store will rise again, but next time it will rise with people who care, people who respect what they're part of. Outside, the sky turns golden. He stands by the window, watching the last car leave. A faint smile crosses his face, not out of satisfaction but resolve. He didn't just fire a team, he removed a disease, and now he's ready to rebuild. But what he doesn't know yet is that the story isn't over. Because that night, while he's preparing to relaunch the store with new staff, a message arrives in his inbox. Anonymous, chilling, and personal. It reads, "You think you know what's going on here, but you've only seen the surface." The message sits on his screen like a ticking bomb. No subject line, no signature. Just that one cryptic sentence glowing in the dim light of his office. "You think you know what's going on here, but you've only seen the surface." For a man who's built an empire on precision and control, the ambiguity feels like a direct threat. His fingers hover over the keyboard for a second before he leans back, eyes narrowing. Someone inside that store, or maybe higher up, wants him to stop digging, but that only fuels his determination. He forwards the email to his head of cybersecurity with a short note. Find out who sent this. Then he leans forward, re-watching the security footage from the store for the 5th time. Every frame, every shadow. Something's still missing. The employees he fired were the obvious culprits. The lazy, loud, and disrespectful faces of the rot. But what if they were just the front, the distractions? He starts to notice small details he missed before. The manager signing off large deliveries that never seem to appear on the shelves. The cash register shortfalls happening on specific nights. The quiet employee in the back office who never spoke much, but was always there, closing late, locking up, counting cash. By the next morning, his security chief calls with a voice that's both cautious and serious. Sir, the email came from inside corporate. Someone used a VPN, but the routing points to a location inside headquarters. He leans forward, pulse quickening. Inside? Yes, and it gets worse. The attachments on that account link to several flagged transactions across multiple stores. Whatever's happening in that branch, it's part of something bigger. He hangs up, jaw tightening. For the first time in years, he realizes the problem isn't just bad management, it's infiltration. Somewhere within the company he founded, people are using his own system against him. Selling inventory off books, manipulating digital ledgers, covering each other's tracks, and his firing of that store's entire team may have just triggered something none of them are ready for. He calls an emergency meeting with his top executives. The boardroom feels tense. Laptops open, faces pale, everyone waiting for him to speak. He plays a snippet of the recording from his undercover stint, just enough to remind them what complacency looks like. Then he drops the bomb. We have a mole in corporate, possibly more than one. They've been bleeding this company dry right under our noses. Murmurs break out around the table. One of the executives, his operations head, leans forward, confused. Sir, if that's true, why target that one store? He slides a printed report across the table. Because that store was the entry point. The refunds, the stock manipulation, it all starts there. But the trail doesn't end there. Whoever's behind this is using the stores as laundromats for digital theft. The room goes quiet. He can see it in their eyes. Fear, doubt, guilt. Not everyone here is innocent, he realizes. Some of these polished suits might be the same people hiding behind fake emails. That night, he doesn't go home. He walks through the empty store again, now stripped of the old team. The hum of the freezers, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. It's too quiet, too still. He feels like the walls are whispering secrets. As he inspects the back office, he notices something odd. A locked drawer in the desk he never authorized. He forces it open and finds a small black USB drive labeled Reconciliations, Q2. He plugs it into his laptop, and the screen fills with files, but not spreadsheets, videos, hidden camera footage, employees counting cash, trucks arriving after hours, transactions being rerouted. Then, a frame that makes his stomach turn. His own district manager, the one who vouched for that store's performance, handing off envelopes to someone in a car with tinted windows. He shuts the laptop slowly, rage simmering. This isn't just internal corruption. This is organized theft, coordinated and protected from the inside. He finally understands the email. You've only seen the surface. The sender isn't threatening him. They're warning him. He decides to play it smart. The next morning, he calls the district manager and asks him to meet at the store to discuss the transition. When the man arrives, dressed confidently as always, the boss greets him calmly and leads him to the back office. On the desk lies the laptop, open to the frozen frame showing the handoff. The district manager's smile fades instantly. "What's this?" he stammers. The boss doesn't answer. He just plays the next clip, and the next, and the next, until silence fills the room like a confession. "You've been stealing from me," the boss says quietly, "and you've been paying others to keep it quiet." The manager's face drains of color. "Sir, I can explain." "No," the boss interrupts, voice cold. "You can't, because there's nothing left to explain." He calls in corporate security. They escort the man out without another word. The news spreads fast through headquarters. Suddenly, everyone who thought they were untouchable starts looking over their shoulder. The empire is trembling, but the boss isn't scared. He feels alive. The truth is messy, but it's finally surfacing. Then, later that day, another email arrives. This one isn't anonymous. It's from the same quiet employee who worked in the back office of the fired store, the one who never talked much. The subject line reads, "I think you should see this." Attached is a file named Meeting Recordings Zip. He opens it. Dozens of audio files. Voices of senior executives discussing reallocating funds and adjusting inventory reports. It's not casual talk. It's planning. Coordinated fraud stretching across multiple states. For months they've been funneling millions through fake supply orders and falsified losses. And when the store team started asking questions or misbehaving, they were silenced, fired, or bribed. The boss listens in stunned disbelief. The empire he built isn't just crumbling. It's been rotting from the inside out for years. He realizes now that the rude employees, the chaos, the laziness, it was all part of the cover. The culture of disrespect wasn't accidental. It was engineered to distract from the real operation happening beneath it. He sits back, rubbing his temple. Every betrayal hits like a punch to the gut. But amid the chaos, one thought pierces through. That anonymous message wasn't a warning. It was a test. Someone inside wants to help him. Someone who's been watching, waiting for him to finally see. He replies to the email with a single sentence. "Meet me in person, tonight." The reply comes back instantly. "Behind the store, 9 p.m., come alone." When night falls, the parking lot is deserted. The air is heavy, the kind of silence that carries tension like electricity. He waits by the loading dock, heart pounding. Then, from the shadows, the quiet employee steps out. Nervous, hands shaking, but eyes determined. "Sir, they're not just stealing money," she says softly. "They're controlling the system. They've planted people across departments. If you go after one, the others will know. They'll erase everything." He takes a step closer. "Then tell me how to stop them." She glances around, voice trembling. "You can't trust anyone at corporate, but there's one place they can't touch, the original servers from when you founded the company. You kept backups, right?" He nods slowly. "Then use them. Pull the old data. That's where you'll find proof of what they've changed." He studies her face, trying to read her. "Why help me?" She swallows hard. "Because I believed in what this company used to stand for, and I'm tired of watching them destroy it." He doesn't fully trust her, but he doesn't have a choice. He thanks her quietly and watches her disappear into the night. For the first time, he realizes this fight won't end with one store or one firing. It's about reclaiming his company from a hidden empire operating under his name. As he drives away, the rain starts to fall, tapping against the windshield like a countdown. He glances in the mirror and sees headlights following him. 2 cars, no license plates. They stay back, far enough to not look obvious. But he knows what this is. They know he's getting closer. He takes a sudden turn into an empty service road, kills the lights, and waits. The cars slow down, hesitate, then pass. His pulse thunders. Someone's watching every move he makes. The game isn't about business anymore, it's survival. When he gets home, drenched and exhausted, he opens his laptop and starts digging into the oldest company archives, the untouched servers from the early days. Passwords long forgotten, data buried deep, but piece by piece, he starts to uncover a trail. And there, in the earliest records, he finds something he never expected. The same names showing up across multiple shell companies. Names of people he trusted, people who helped him build the brand from day one. He stares at the screen, realization settling like a blade pressed to his throat. The corruption didn't just infect his company, it was born with it. And now, the only way to fix it might be to burn it all down and start over. The cursor blinks on the screen like a pulse in the dark. He leans forward, scrolling through names that feel like ghosts from another life. Board members, founding partners, trusted lieutenants who were there when the company was nothing but a dream drawn on a napkin and a rented space in an abandoned mall. The same names now appear in offshore accounts, shell corporations, and suspicious vendor contracts stretching across 3 continents. The magnitude of betrayal is suffocating. He built this empire brick by brick, but now he's staring at blueprints that prove someone else has been building their own fortress beneath his. Outside his window, the city glows in restless silence, but inside his office, the air feels colder. Every sound, the hum of the computer, the ticking clock, seems amplified. He replays that quiet employee's warning in his head. They've planted people across departments. If you go after one, the others will know. He understands now that the enemy isn't outside. It's wrapped around him, smiling in meetings, signing memos, shaking hands at company events. He opens the old archives deeper, tracing data back to the original network server that hasn't been used since the early expansion days. Buried in those old backups are emails, correspondence between executives planning strategic supplier partnerships. But as he reads the details, the partners don't exist. They're phantom entities created to siphon funds and manipulate stock reports. It's not just internal theft, it's financial warfare. And the worst part, it's been running smoothly for almost a decade. He picks up his phone and calls his lawyer, a man he's trusted for years. The voice on the other end answers smoothly, "Good morning, sir." He takes a breath. "I need a forensic audit," quietly, "on every supplier contract from the last 10 years. There's a pause. Too long. Then the lawyer says, "That's a massive undertaking. May I ask what prompted this?" He hesitates for a moment before replying, "Let's just say I've discovered something ugly." Another pause. Then the lawyer says something that makes his skin crawl. "Understood. I'll make the necessary inquiries. Just be careful who you tell. The fewer people know, the better." The tone is polite, but there's a subtle shift in it, a quiet warning or maybe something else. When the call ends, he sits in silence, realizing the paranoia might be justified. What if even his lawyer isn't clean? He knows he can't trust anyone fully, not anymore. So he takes matters into his own hands. He rents a small storage unit under a false name, fills it with old company documents, hard drives, and backup servers, everything he can retrieve without alerting anyone. This is his war room now, a place where he can map out the corruption that's eating his company alive. Days turn into nights, and nights blur into mornings. The more he digs, the deeper the rot goes. It's not just embezzlement, it's collusion with rival companies, fake mergers, insider trades. The empire he built as a symbol of integrity is being used to finance criminal networks. And at the center of it all, one name keeps reappearing. His co-founder. The man who once stood beside him at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, smiling for cameras and shaking his hand as flashbulbs captured the moment of triumph. The man he hasn't spoken to in years. He calls him, straight to voicemail. He tries again. Still nothing. So, he sends a message. "We need to talk, now." No reply. Hours later, his phone buzzes, not with a text, but a call from an unknown number. He answers, tension in his voice. A calm, familiar tone responds, "I was wondering how long it would take for you to figure it out." It's his co-founder. The man sounds relaxed, almost amused. "You've been busy playing detective, huh?" The voice says. "You think this company's yours to save? It hasn't been yours for a long time." The boss's hand tightens around the phone. "You're stealing from the company we built together. You're destroying everything we stood for." A quiet laugh comes through the line. "You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about money. It's about control. You were too focused on being the face, the dreamer, the visionary. I was the one who made it real. And when you stopped watching, I took what was mine." The line goes dead. He stares at the phone, the silence heavier than any sound. For the first time, he realizes this isn't just corruption. It's a coup. His co-founder didn't just betray him. He's been orchestrating this entire downfall from the shadows, using proxies, manipulating systems, turning loyal employees into pawns. The next morning, a new storm hits. A news alert flashes across his phone. Whistleblower claims company engaged in widespread accounting fraud. His name is plastered across headlines. The same board members who were silent yesterday are now calling emergency meetings, pretending to be shocked, demanding explanations. And at the center of every accusation, fabricated or twisted, is him. He's being framed. His phone won't stop ringing. Investors, reporters, lawyers, everyone wants answers. But he knows this is exactly what his co-founder planned. Turn the public against him. Make him the scapegoat. By the time he proves his innocence, the company will already belong to someone else. That evening, he gets another message from the quiet employee, the only person he still thinks might be on his side. "They're moving fast. Tomorrow the board votes to remove you. You have less than 24 hours. He exhales slowly, his mind racing. He built this empire. He knows every brick, every flaw, every hidden corridor in the system. If they want war, they'll get one. But this won't be a public battle. It'll be fought in silence, in code, in data. He drives to his storage unit and starts transferring all the evidence he's gathered, emails, contracts, videos, into a hidden server. Then he sets up a timed upload to multiple media outlets, regulators, and the company's investors. If they take him down, the truth goes live for the world to see. But there's one last thing he needs, a confession, and he knows where to get it. He arranges a meeting with his co-founder under the pretense of settling things quietly. The man agrees, smugly confident. They meet at an upscale restaurant, the kind that feels too expensive for the tension in the air. The co-founder arrives in an immaculate suit, wearing that same disarming smile that once inspired trust. "You look tired," he says casually, sitting down. Running around chasing ghosts can do that to a man. The boss doesn't smile. "You turned my company into a criminal operation. You lied to me, to our investors, to everyone." The co-founder shrugs. "I saved it. You were too soft. You wanted ethics in a business world that eats ethics for breakfast. I adapted." He leans forward, voice low. "You mean you sold out?" "Call it what you want," the co-founder says, sipping his drink. "But I'm the reason this company still exists. You're just the figurehead, the sentimental fool." The boss's phone sits on the table, recording everything. He keeps him talking, prodding his ego, letting the man reveal more than he realizes. And when he's said enough, when every damning word is captured, he stands up. "You just confessed to everything," he says quietly. "It's over." For the first time, the co-founder's smile falters. "What did you do?" He picks up his phone. "You'll find out soon." Then he walks out, heart pounding, adrenaline burning through every nerve. By the time the co-founder realizes what happened, it's too late. The recordings are uploaded. The files are in the hands of regulators, journalists, and law enforcement. Within hours, chaos erupts. News channels break the story. Corporate conspiracy exposed. Internal sources reveal decade-long fraud. Stock prices plummet. Arrests are made. His co-founder's face fills every headline. But as the dust begins to settle, a strange quiet returns. The boss should feel vindicated, but something inside him doesn't rest. Because as investigators swarm corporate offices, as headlines celebrate his bravery, one question lingers like a shadow. Who sent the first email? Who warned him? That quiet employee vanished. Her number disconnected. Her apartment empty. As if she never existed. He replays her words in his head. You've only seen the surface. And deep down, he realizes she was right. The conspiracy might have started with his co-founder, but the roots go deeper into people he still doesn't know, systems he didn't create, money flowing from places he's never seen. And now, the one person who tried to help him has disappeared into the dark. He looks out at the city lights flickering through his office window, and a thought forms, a dangerous one. Maybe this was never just about corruption. Maybe it was about something far bigger, something that still hasn't shown its face. The headlines fade, but the tension doesn't. The boss is back in the building that bears his name, walking corridors lined with nervous faces. Reporters have camped outside the glass lobby for days. Cameras flash every time he appears. On paper, he's the man who saved his company from collapse. In reality, he's standing in the ashes of something he can no longer recognize. Inside the boardroom, investigators shuffle papers while executives avoid eye contact. Every meeting feels like a funeral. Files are being audited, accounts frozen, reputations shredded in real time. But even as the authorities congratulate him, the unease in his chest grows heavier. He knows there's still a hand behind all of this. Someone powerful enough to make people vanish, powerful enough to turn truth into smoke. He opens the blinds in his office, staring down at the crowd below. Protesters hold signs demanding accountability. News drones hover like mechanical vultures. He's seen public outrage before, but this feels orchestrated, too precise, too uniform. Somewhere, someone is directing the chaos. His phone vibrates. Unknown number. He answers cautiously. A deep, measured voice speaks. Mr. Reynolds, we need to talk about your employee, the one who warned you. His stomach tightens. Who is this? Let's just say we're from a federal task unit that's been monitoring financial infiltration in major corporations. The woman who contacted you, her real name isn't what you think. She was part of an intelligence program investigating cross-border laundering operations. She went dark 3 days ago. He sinks into his chair. So she was one of yours? Not exactly, the voice replies. She was ours until someone higher decided the operation was over. She went off-grid to protect evidence. He glances at the wall clock. Each second feels longer than the last. Why are you telling me this? Because the data she passed to you might contain classified materials, and people are willing to kill for it. Keep your systems offline. We're coming to you. The call ends. His reflection in the glass looks older, heavier. He closes the blinds again and locks the office door. If what they said is true, his company wasn't just corrupted by greed. It was being used as a funnel for something far bigger, maybe political, maybe global. The missing employee didn't just stumble onto fraud. She tripped over a conspiracy that stretches beyond the business world. Hours later, as the building empties, he stays behind. The rain outside is relentless. He scrolls through the encrypted folder she sent before vanishing. Inside are documents labeled with agency insignias, wire transfers linked to overseas contractors, and a list of code names. Some match his company's suppliers, some belong to government entities, and one, buried at the end, freezes him completely. His own name, marked as an asset. He whispers under his breath, What have they done with my identity? Suddenly the lights flicker. His screen goes black. Then a message appears in white text. We warned you not to open it. He grabs his phone, but it's dead. Every device in the office shuts down. Outside, a black SUV pulls up to the curb. Two figures step out, wearing suits too crisp for comfort. They move fast, heading toward the private entrance. He can feel the pulse hammering in his throat. Instinct takes over. He slips out through the side stairwell, racing down the emergency exit into the parking garage. The echo of his footsteps bounces off concrete walls. When he reaches his car, the engine won't start. Battery dead, deliberately cut. Somewhere above, footsteps approach, calm and deliberate. He ducks behind a pillar, breathing through his teeth. A voice echoes through the garage. Mr. Reynolds, this doesn't have to get messy. Hand over the drive. He tightens his grip on the small USB he's carried since the beginning. You'll have to take it from me, he mutters, and bolts toward the maintenance tunnel. The tunnel is dark, narrow, dripping with condensation. He moves fast, phone flashlight barely piercing the black. Behind him, the echo of boots gets closer. When he finally bursts into the open night, rain slams against his face like glass. He runs until the city swallows him, blending into the blur of neon and noise. He finds refuge in a rundown motel on the outskirts. From there, he contacts the only person he can still trust, a former cybersecurity chief he once fired for insubordination. The man answers after one ring. I heard what happened, he says. You're in deeper than you think. I don't need sympathy, Reynolds replies. I need to vanish. An hour later, a nondescript van pulls up outside the motel. The driver is the ex-employee, older, sharper, eyes scanning every angle before speaking. They're tracking your company's network in real time. That USB you're holding is bait. It's broadcasting metadata every time it connects. Reynolds stares at the drive. So they know I have it? They knew before you did, the man says. But there's a way to flip it. Feed them what they want to see, then trace the signal back to their hub. They set up a mobile rig inside the van. Monitors glow blue in the darkness. Lines of code race across the screen as the hacker manipulates the signal. We're piggybacking their trace, he explains. Once they bite, we'll know who's behind the curtain. Minutes crawl by. Then the console pings. A location appears, an address in Washington, D.C., registered to a consulting firm with government clearance. Reynolds exhales slowly. So it's real. They've been using the company as a laundering front for state contracts. The hacker nods. And you were the perfect cover. Successful, clean, public. They buried the operation in your legitimacy. For a long moment, neither man speaks. Then Reynolds says quietly, If I expose this, they'll destroy me. Maybe, the hacker answers. But if you don't, they'll rewrite history. You'll be the villain they invented. They decide to take the risk. At dawn, they head toward D.C., armed with nothing but the original data and a plan to leak it simultaneously to multiple independent journalists. The drive feels endless. Every highway sign looks like a warning. By the time they reach the city, the sun is rising, a soft, deceptive light on the horizon. They park 2 blocks away from the address. Reynolds steps out, straightening his coat, feeling the weight of everything he's lost pressing down on his shoulders. If I don't make it back, he says, send the files. You'll make it, the hacker replies, just don't look scared. Inside the building, the air smells sterile, controlled. Reception is empty. Surveillance cameras follow his every move. He walks down a corridor lined with frosted glass doors until one opens on its own. A man in a tailored gray suit steps out. No badge, no introduction, just calm authority. Mr. Reynolds, the man says, you've made quite a mess. Reynolds meets his gaze. You used my company to move money for operations I never authorized. You killed people's livelihoods. You made me the face of it. The man tilts his head slightly. You think you were chosen by accident? You were built for this. your background, your story. It made you perfect for public trust. We didn't need your permission. We needed your name. Reynolds feels the rage boil over. You destroyed everything I built. No, the man replies coolly. We built it for you. And now you'll walk away quietly, or you'll disappear like the others who ask too many questions. Reynolds takes a breath, then pulls out his phone. You're too late, he says. Everything's already been sent. The man's expression barely changes, but his eyes flicker. Somewhere outside, sirens start to wail. News alerts begin flashing on phones across the city. Leaked files reveal covert government corporate laundering network. The gray-suited man exhales. You really don't understand how deep this goes, do you? Reynolds turns to leave. I don't need to. I just need the truth to live longer than your lies. As he steps into the street, crowds are already gathering. Reporters swarm, flashing lights cutting through the morning haze. Behind him, agents rush into the building. Somewhere in the chaos, the hacker's van speeds away, broadcasting the leak to every major outlet. By nightfall, the story has exploded worldwide. Investigations launch across agencies, politicians deny involvement. The company's stock crashes, but so does the credibility of the entire system that enabled the scheme. And while Reynolds should feel triumphant, he can't shake the image of the quiet employee, the woman who risked everything to start this chain of events, still missing, still in danger. He sits in his dark apartment, watching the city burn with headlines and speculation. A knock at the door breaks his thoughts. He hesitates, then opens it. An envelope lies on the floor. No address, no name, just his initials written in black ink. Inside is a single note. You've done well. But they're not finished. Neither are we. Underneath it, a photo. Grainy, surveillance style. The quiet employee. Alive, standing in a crowd halfway across the world. He feels his pulse quicken. The war he thought he ended has only shifted shape. And somewhere beyond the noise of headlines and politics, the real puppeteers are watching, waiting for him to make his next move. The city hasn't slept in days. Helicopters thrum over rooftops, camera crews broadcast every rumor, and the name Reynolds flashes across every screen like a curse and a legend. In a week, he's gone from anonymous CEO to global whistleblower. His company is in ruins, his fortune frozen, his safety uncertain. Yet somehow he's freer than he's ever been. He stands at his window, looking down at the restless streets below. Protesters chant his name, not in anger this time, but in solidarity. Somewhere in that chaos, people finally see the truth. But he knows better than to believe it's over. The note he received last night still burns in his mind. They're not finished. The doorbell rings again. This time he doesn't hesitate. He checks the peephole. The hacker, his unlikely ally, stands there, eyes darting down the hall. When he steps in, his expression is grim. They're scrubbing the leak, he says flatly. Government servers, independent archives, even the journalists who received it. It's disappearing, piece by piece. Someone is overriding the data from a source we can't trace. Reynolds clenches his jaw. They're erasing history in real time. The hacker nods. And they'll keep doing it until nothing's left but the version they want people to believe. Reynolds walks to his desk, opens the drawer, and pulls out the original hard drive, the one the quiet employee gave him. Then we use this. We make it impossible to bury. The hacker hesitates. That's not just evidence. That's leverage. It's connected to something larger, something that's been running for years. You expose that, and you're not just taking down a corporation. You're taking down a machine. Then maybe it's time someone did. Reynolds replies. Before the hacker can respond, the apartment lights flicker. The television switches on by itself, filling the room with static. Then a voice, smooth and controlled, cuts through the distortion. "Mr. Reynolds, you've proven difficult to silence. Let's correct that." The screen flashes, and for a second, a familiar face appears, the man in the grey suit from DC. He's seated in a high-tech command room, walls lined with monitors displaying live surveillance feeds. "You've cost powerful people a great deal of money," he says calmly. "You've exposed operations that were never meant for public view. But what you don't understand is that chaos like this always needs a scapegoat. And today, that's you." The feed ends. Outside, the faint sound of engines roars closer. The hacker rushes to the window. "They found you," he says. They bolt from the apartment, taking the service elevator down to the basement. Just as the doors close, armed men in tactical gear flood the hallways above. When the elevator opens again, the garage is already surrounded. The hacker points toward an emergency tunnel. "That leads to the subway line. Move!" Gunfire echoes. Bullets crack against concrete as they sprint through the narrow corridor. The hacker types frantically on his portable rig, triggering door locks and fire suppression systems to slow the attackers. They reach the tunnel and disappear into the darkness. By the time they emerge, they're miles away, hidden among commuters who have no idea they're standing beside two of the most wanted men in the country. The hacker turns to Reynolds, breathing hard. "We can't keep running. We need to go on offense." Reynolds nods. "Then let's make sure they can't hide anymore." They head to an abandoned broadcasting station, one of the hacker's old hideouts from his days in digital activism. Inside, the air smells of dust and rust, but the equipment still hums to life. He connects the hard drive, bypassing encryption while Reynolds paces, restless. Finally, the screens flare with lines of code and documents, evidence of offshore accounts, encrypted messages between government contractors, surveillance logs tied to media manipulation campaigns. But something else appears too, a classified file labeled Project Echelon. The hacker opens it. Inside are dossiers on multiple corporations across the globe, all connected by a single funding source hidden beneath layers of shell companies. At the center of the web is a familiar logo, Reynolds' own company. "They used your stores," the hacker whispers. Every branch was part of a logistics chain moving untraceable money through everyday transactions, laundering disguised as inventory cycles. You weren't just a CEO, you were a distribution node. Reynolds feels the blood drain from his face. "And she found this?" The hacker nods. "She found it first. That's why they wanted her gone." Then a new window pops up on the screen. A live feed. The quiet employee's face fills the frame, tired, pale, but alive. She's speaking directly to them. "If you're seeing this, they didn't catch me," she says softly. "But they're watching everything. The network we uncovered isn't national, it's global. Corporations, politicians, defense contractors, they all feed from the same source. I've uploaded a backup to multiple hidden nodes, but I need you to finish it. Get the truth out." The video cuts to static. The hacker looks up. She's alive, but not for long if they trace that feed. Reynolds takes a deep breath. "Then we finish it now." They launch a live broadcast using every channel the station still connects to. Satellite, digital radio, dark web streams, even emergency frequencies. As the feed goes live, Reynolds steps in front of the camera. His voice is calm but charged with defiance. "My name is Daniel Reynolds," he begins. "You've seen the headlines. You've heard the lies. But what you haven't seen is the truth. How corporations like mine became tools for a system that trades human lives for power and profit. They told you I was corrupt. They told you I lost control, but what they didn't tell you is that control was never mine to begin with." He uploads the full archive, every document, every recording, every transaction, live, unfiltered, unedited. The data floods the internet in real time, spreading faster than anyone can contain. Within minutes, servers crash, journalists scramble, world leaders issue denials. The truth is too vast to erase this time, but even as victory takes shape, the building's alarms begin to wail. The hacker glances at the monitors, heat signatures closing in from all sides. "They're here," he says. Reynolds nods slowly. Then this is where it ends. They lock the doors and keep the feed running, even as power flickers and gunfire erupts outside. The hacker diverts the stream through multiple relays, ensuring it stays live no matter what happens to them. The first breach comes fast, a blast that shatters the entryway. Armed operatives pour in, shouting commands. Reynolds stands his ground, eyes locked on the camera. "You can kill the messenger," he says into the lens, "but you can't bury the message." A final explosion shakes the building, plunging everything into darkness. When light returns hours later, the station is nothing but rubble. Firefighters swarm the scene. No bodies are found, only melted equipment and fragments of burned hard drives. But online, the video continues to play. The data mirrors itself endlessly across networks. The world is awake now, questioning everything. Investigations begin in multiple countries. Leaders step down. Whistleblowers emerge. Weeks later, somewhere in South America, a quiet cafe hums with soft music. A man in a worn jacket sits at the corner table, reading the newspaper. The headline reads, "Global Corruption Network Exposed. Authorities Confirm Massive Resignations." He folds the paper, takes a sip of coffee, and glances at the TV behind the counter. A news anchor says, "No confirmed sightings of Daniel Reynolds, the whistleblower CEO. Authorities believe he may have escaped during the explosion." He smiles faintly, adjusting the brim of his cap. Across the room, a woman steps in, the quiet employee. Their eyes meet. No words are exchanged, just a small nod of recognition. She sits opposite him, sliding a new USB drive across the table. "There's more," she says softly. He takes it, staring at the device like it's both a curse and a key. "Does it ever end?" She smiles faintly. "Not while power exists. But at least now people are watching." Outside, thunder rumbles over the mountains. The world has changed, but only just enough to make the next fight possible. And as the camera pans out through the rain, a single headline flashes across screens worldwide. "Truth never dies."